Hey, this is Project 3, Group 9. We have implemented an adaptive Q&A system. So this is the homepage of our system. I would like to explain this homepage based on each component that you see on the screen. So the first component that I would like to talk about is your search bar. So implementing a Stack Overflow, I think the first thing that would come to mind is to have a search bar, and that's what we planned on at the beginning, and that's what we have done. The search bar lets you search for queries, and it basically populates your homepage with a set of questions related to what you've searched, and for which we have used the MongoDB. And instead of using the Elasticsearch, we have used a MongoDB, and we have indexed data based on your question answers. Sorry, your answers, your answer text, your answer code, and your tags. I've clearly spoken about, explained elaborately about these in my report. So for further details, you can always look into the report. The other module is the buttons that you see on the left-hand side of the screen, which is the tag details, the user activities, and the user versus the community statistics. These are visualizations that a user can look at. But being a user who is not logged in yet, he will not have any access to these visualizations. And now coming to the right component, which would be the user count that you see. So our system has around close to 5,000 users. So the data that was given to us seemed pretty huge, 2 gigs of data. And since we have used a couple of the machine learning algorithms, we didn't want to take the entire data set. We wanted to use only a part of it, and we have taken samples out of it. So that's why we stuck to this number. This number was not decided based on any certain criteria. We just wanted to reduce the data set so that it could suit our needs. And the amount of posts, the questions that you see is the post that we have on our website. That was also reduced. So both these numbers are from a sample of the data that was given to us. And the other component is the most viewed topics that you see. So this most viewed topics still talks about the currently trending topics on our website, and these are calculated over time, and these are done over the years and not on a short-term basis. The other component is the one that you see in the middle of the screen. Is your It's a card-based module where you see all your questions, and you have a set of tags attached to each question, and the user who posted that question, and also the date on which and the time on which it was posted. These are details minute details that everybody needs to know. And if someone's looking for a particular question, he could always resurface these details and then search for the right topics. And the other important thing is having the votes and the answers and the views on the front end, so that people would know the amount of contribution for a question. So if they really want to check out that question, they would know in case they are looking for like a particular topic, and if we don't have these answers in the front end, they would have to click the question every time to see if there are any answers. So instead, we had this module on the front itself, so that they would be able to see the number of answers, and if it's a good number, then they would always open these answers and view it. And the number of views talks about the number of times this question has been viewed. So the user can decide whether to not to view or to view it or not. So if it's a good number, again, it always gives the user a confidence to go and check it out. And the votes is another criterion that we took into account. And the data set that was given to us had no views column. So this is something that I added onto my data set, and I felt it was very necessary. And if a user is going to view a question, then his number of the number of tags and the keywords attached to that question is going to be incremented to the user's data. So a lot of things that are being done on the back end, and that's one such thing. So all the activities of the user is being noted: the clicks, the upvotes and the downvotes, and the accepted answers and everything, and each is assigned a score. And the score is kind of based on what Stack Overflow does now, but in a different way. We have assigned weights to these scores based on how it works. And the other important part is your login and sign up module that lets you to log into the R system, or if you're not a user, then you have to sign up. And the other important point I would like to bring up is your sign up module, which would also answer the cold start problem. Where if a user is coming into our system and there's no data available for the user, and how would we even put him into user groups? So those kind of questions would be raised, I understand, for which we have asked the user to to give us a list of topics that he's interested in, so that we would be able to create a standard profile for him based on the topics he has chosen. And over time, his scores would go up or go down depending on the actions that he takes. And he can also add on to topics, and the topics get added on automatically. That's the best part of our system. That's why it's adaptive. So instead of him going on explicitly and manually doing things, everything would be added automatically on a short-term basis and a long-term basis. And finally, the home button is nothing but that basically redirects you to the same page. So first, I would take a moment to talk about the first question that you see on the screen. I would like to click it and show you what exactly it looks like. So every user could access this question. So there you go. So this is your answer module, where you have the title of the question, and you have the content of the question, and you have the set of tags attached to the question, the user who posted this question, and the date, and the set of answers and the upvotes. And this is a pagination module which we use to populate if in case there are more answers. And finally, you see your answer box, where you can submit your own answer, and the user can contribute to the community by giving an answer to this question. So on the right hand side, you see something called the related questions. So these are purely based on similarity. All these questions that you see on the right hand side are very, very similar to the one that you see in the front module, the one in the middle. So all these are based on our relativity scores. So we have done topic modeling, which I've again explained elaborately in my report. So based on the topics that you see and the keywords that you see, we have developed clusters for these keywords, and found out that certain set of keywords are always related. So for here, you would probably say Java enums is a keyword. There are other keywords that I could see in the answer text and the code. So based on which, we have selected a list of questions which are very closely related to this topic. And using the concept of clusters also helped us improve the accuracy of the system. And the related tags is again nothing but oh, by the way, the related tags and the related questions go hand in hand. They're very much associated to each other, and they tell you what all other keywords and tags are related to the tags that you see on the question. And let's go back to the home page. I would like to show the search, working on the search. This was, as I said earlier, implemented using the MongoDB index. And when I type Python, I seem to get a list of questions that are related to Python. And sadly, there aren't that many Python users, so we didn't have that much Python data, I guess. That's why only 4 results seem to be popping up. And now let's move on to logging in. So before that, yeah, if a user wants to access any of these visualizations, then he wouldn't be able to, as I said earlier, because we are using the JSON Web Token to authenticate, to give authentication rights to a user. Only if the user is logged in, then he would be able to view all these visualization handles. Otherwise, if not, no, he has no access to it. Even if he clicks this, nothing is going to pop up because they're all user-related data. Now let's log in. So this is something, and let's. Oh yeah. Sorry. Before that, I would like to talk about the sign up page, where, as I said earlier, you get to see your username, password, confirm password, the topics of it the user enters. So this is like an animated model, which kind of makes the site look good as well. So I would like to sign in, and I would like to show you how the profile page looks. The profile page is very much similar to what you see on the home page, just that the content is something that's completely adapted to the user. So ask a question is another feature that we've added for this website. So ask a question lets the user ask a question. And again, those tags, those buttons that you see on the left let you see the visualizations. And those visualizations basically compare your interest along with the average community. And the one on the right, the questions you might want to check out, that's very important. That contains the collaborative filtering part, where we have grouped user with similar data and we have again created cluster for users, user groups, similarity in user groups, for which we created a pipeline and use Python to generate this data, and then kind of some of the machine learning techniques that we've used, and I've elaborately mentioned that in the report. And yes, so all of these users are very much related, and this is one way to escape the system. So these collaborative filtering not only like pushes the user into one corner, but also helps him gives insights into other topics which he could check out, for which the scores of those topics increases, and more he gets to learn a lot more things. So that's an important stuff. So that lets him escape the system. And the search bar is another feature that lets the user escape the system. So instead of just going over those topics, those recommended topics again and again, if the user wants to completely go out of scope and search for something, he can do the search, or this collaborative filtering is always going to suggest him something out of the blue. And frequently accessed topics here is the users frequently accessed topics, and those are collected on a short-term basis, and they change over weeks. So every I would probably suggest like using a 2-week window where this would change over 2 weeks, and all those actions are recorded on a daily basis, hourly basis, depends on how the user uses our system. And the questions that you see here are the questions that the user could answer. So these are suggestions that we give the user, where he could, like, based on his productivity, based on his proficiency in certain topics, we have like rightly chosen these questions for him to answer, and none of these questions have accepted answers. So so that, accepted answers you can always check out later, but we feel that he's very important to the system, so we give him these questions so that he could answer them, and others could always get benefited. So if someone's already answered a question and if it's accepted, then those questions wouldn't be populated here, and there is a recommender logic that works in here as well. And finally, he can, if he clicks a question, then he can read the answers that have already been here, and he can go submit his answer by scrolling down. And I would also like to talk about the related tags that are on the right. He could click any other related tags, and that would take him to a page, which would give you a list of topics that he wants to read about. So yes, he can use the system to give out his answers and also read a lot more things on this. And finally, coming back to your visualizations, we'll go to the talk details. This would talk about, this is the sunburst chart that will tell you the different topics that are discussed, the overall topic stats for the user community. This is collected over months, because in general our question and answer forum would have a lot of data coming in. So for example, Java is a topic, and the IDs that you see are the user IDs. These are and their contributions to this topic. So if I say click Java, it's going to give me another set of data where the population of this is 158, and you can say the amount of contribution that X user has done to Java. And for you to go back, you can always click this, and there are always options where you can download this as an image or a PDF. And coming back to the next visualization, the user activities, I think this is an Aster plot chart, which would tell you which would give you the reputation score of the user and how good he is in the topics. So, and his contributions to the topics. And finally, the stats that compare you versus the user community.